Hi, I'm Naman. I study PPE at Oxford, and I thought I'd share a day in the life. On this day, I was returning to Oxford after a term staying at home, so I was pretty excited. This is my room. It is so big, and all my friends are really jealous of it. I then went out with some mates to get some food from town. At Merton, which is my college, you do actually get pretty cheap catering, but we felt like going out today. I then had a practice of politics tutorial. So tutorials where you and a few other students sit down with the teacher and you discuss the essay that you've done the last week and the topics that you've been studying. I really enjoyed this tutorial. We were talking about the democratic peace thesis, which is basically this finding that democracies tend not to go to war with one another. We talked about the evidence behind that, and we also talked about, if it is true, why it might be the case, whether it's because of political factors such as democratic norms or institutions, or whether it might be due to economic factors such as the level of economic development that's typically had by democracies, trade, etc. I then had a break, so I decided to spend some time with my friends, and one of them has this really amazing balcony. I thought I'd interrupt here to tell you a little bit about PPE, which is the course I study, and why I study it. So PPE stands for Philosophy, Politics and Economics, and it's supposed to tell you how the world works. So it deals with questions like, why are some countries richer than others? Why do some countries grow faster than others? Why are some businesses more successful than others? Why do democracies tend not to fight one another? Is there anything about democracy in particular which means we should promote it as opposed to other political systems? How do I know that I'm not dreaming right now? How do I know that what I believe is true? How do I know what the right thing to do is? What should I do with my life? Loads of really interesting questions, really important questions you get to explore in lots of detail through this course. And you get to read about what some of the most intelligent, most thoughtful people have had to say about these topics. And you also get to challenge them and decide what you actually think about these topics too. There's three things in particular that I think set PPE at Oxford apart from other courses at other universities. Firstly, its reputation. So it does have a huge reputation because of the alumni it has produced. Figures such as David Cameron, Benazir Bhutto, Malala, Bill Clinton, to famous figures in the media, to really successful people in business. A lot of the people that do PPE at Oxford go on to have this huge success and influence in the world. And so being able to follow in their footsteps and learn the things that they learned is quite exciting. Secondly, the flexibility of the course. So it is so broad and there's a lot of room for you to decide what you want to study and what you're interested in. So from the second year onwards, you get to choose your own modules and you actually get to decide to drop one of the subjects if you'd like. So in my case, I'm dropping philosophy, even though I do find it really interesting, just because it's less relevant to what I want to do in the future. And I'm taking theory of politics, British government since 1845, microeconomics, macroeconomics, quantitative economics, and ethics. So one module in philosophy. And I haven't decided the last ones yet. My degree might look completely different from another PPEist just because of the amount of range it allows you. And finally, I'd say the skills and the networks. So I do think that PPE delivers on its promise in teaching you more about how the world works. I think it delivers half of that through the non-academic part. So through the clubs and societies, through the other people in the course that you get to meet, you do learn so much about the world. Part of that's because the people around you, whether it's the people who work there or the people who study there, are incredibly intelligent and incredibly motivated. And they're doing lots of interesting things in their spare time, whether that's activism or startups or sports. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in potentially studying, I'd look at these materials. They're really short and introductory, but they'll give you a sense of whether this is something you'd actually be interested in pursuing further. Another tutorial. It's actually quite unusual to have two tutorials in one day, but today was just one of those days. I had a theory of politics tutorial. It was my first one ever, so I was pretty nervous, and we discussed democracy again, but this time why we should have democracy. Does it have any sort of intrinsic worth or rationale behind it? The tutorial system is one of the things I most like about Oxford. You really get to explore your ideas and decide what you actually think about a topic. It's also a really great way of learning because if you have any gaps in your understanding, the tutor will be able to point them out immediately and fill them in for you. I was really craving noodles, so I went out to get some dinner with mates and ate it by the Rad Cam. I felt like I hadn't been very productive today, especially with the move-in, So I went to the Oxford Union Library to do some studying and preparation for my essay. So each week we usually have to do 1 or 2 essays, and the most important thing is to read as much as you can off the reading list.